Yep. Why have we got no camera? Why is there no camera? Oh, there we go. There's the camera. Hey guys, how you doing? It's Tuesday night again. Trying to get that reflection off my glasses. Hey, so what's been happening? Who have we got in the room? Tavo is here, first here. Good on you, man. Kerosene and cucumbers. David Tyree. Welcome along, all. What's everyone been up to? Unfinished project dart sport? Welcome along, old timer. Hey, buddy. Barry Cooter's in nice and early. Well done. Steve Sadusky, Beagle Bob. Cheers, mate. So, what's everyone been up to? It's the $64 question. Yeah. Well, what have I been up to? I've been busy. Got my sister staying over here for a couple of weeks, so I've been kind of keeping busy in the off time. Kind of had a busy weekend, dashing here and there and not working, so that was a nice change. Who else we got here? Matthew Ward, welcome along. And what's been going on in the shop? Well, that old 64 F100 went home. He's really happy. He messaged me to say it was like a brand new car, quite completely different. So that was good. Beagle Bob, going to bring my Mustang to the new house tomorrow. Been unpacking and setting up the place. Oh, good on you, mate. It's a process, isn't it? Takes a bit of time. But it'd be good to get your toy there. Steve Sadusky, I'm starting early. Everyone give a like to Kiwi's live stream. Yes, please do. It helps a lot when you hit that like button. Just keeps the wheels turning, keeps YouTube happy. Jeff Hutchins, we'll see if the customers hold off for the next hour. Well, hopefully they do, Yeah. So, Beagle Bob, that Mustang, you bringing your Mustang to the new house tomorrow. Is that the one you brought by the shop? I'm guessing is that your one and only Mustang, or are you like the rest of us with the Mustang sickness and have several? Yeah, so at the shop we've got a lovely 64. That was the picture on my post today when I posted about the live tonight. That was the picture of the front of a 64 Cadillac convertible, which is just in for a couple of little, just very minor stuff. But you couldn't get the passenger door to shut, kept flying open, so that was a bit of a problem going around corners. So we fixed that, a couple of other little things, and he's about good to go. So there will be a video coming out on that car because it's a nice car. Steve Sadusky, what is your choice of drink tonight? Man, I'm on Applejack again. It's kind of become a bit of a favourite of mine, to be honest with you. It's just easy drinking, you know. It's quite smooth. Paul Funt suggesting hitting the like button as well. Good on you, man. Thank you. Paulie 1U4C. 1U4C. Okay, 1U4C. Welcome along, bud. How you doing? Beagle Bob, it's my one and only for now. That's the spirit for now, yes. Steve Sadusky, nice front end on that Cadillac. Yes, it is. The whole car is like that nice. So, yeah, watch out for that video. Oh, Tavo, computer issues here. Reloaded the page to start the stream and it's hung up. Okay, so trying to get by on the phone. Okay, all that stuff. That kind of sucks, but hey, at least you're here, man. At least you're here. So yeah, we got the caddy in. Had a 59 El Camino rolling today on the back of a tow truck. That's making. We just basically rolled it off the back of the tow truck and limped it the kind of 50 feet across the yard, and golly, it was making some noise. Something in the driveline has had a catastrophic failure in the old 59. It's one that's been a customer for quite a few years now. And, we put a motor in it some time back, which I can't even remember whether we did a video on or not. But it's a jet black 59 El Camino. with airbags and all that kind of fun stuff. And we put like a crate 383 in it. But yeah, something's given up in the drive line pretty badly. So it's going to be interesting to get that up on the rack and see what's going. It feels / sounds a bit drive shaft, center bearing maybe, but it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I wasn't convinced I was going to actually get it across the car park, but it did. So yeah. Old timer, Buffalo Valley drag strip is closed. I heard that really sucketh. Yes. Yeah, well, you hear of more drag strips closing down than you do new ones opening up, put it that way. Charles Dalton, welcome along, brother. Top chat. Irv Hutchins, switch to all messages. It always defaults back to top message. Top chat. Yes, you're right. So what does that one do? Fan funding. Whoa. Okay. No, we won't do that one. That's better. Look at that. I'm on all of it now, all chat, live chat. So I should have all of you now. I wonder if I missed anything. I know we were missing. Who was getting cut out last week? I can't remember. Somebody was. I think I've been getting them through. Well, looks like you were all here anyway. Yeah, it looks like I hadn't missed out on any anyway. So, but yeah, better to be safe than sorry. Tavo, yay, rebooted the browser. Now I can see you properly. There you go. Yeah, see, you can teach an old dog new tricks. You figured it out, mate. Old timer, glad I'm not on vacation in Jamaica this week. Oh, what's happening in Jamaica? They're getting some rough weather. Stray Bullet was getting ghosted last week. That was it. Yep, it was somebody. Yeah, that was weird. Chris Freemus is in the house. Welcome along, sir. Old timer, 246 mile per hour wind gust, highest ever recorded in an Atlantic hurricane. Seriously? 246 mile an hour. Wow. Hopefully that was at some altitude and not down at ground. I suppose. Yeah, I don't know how they would have recorded it. Was that like at ground level, 246 mile an hour? That's staggering. Wow. But that did some damage. Beagle Bob, remember to change the chat to all messages so nobody gets hidden as spam. Yeah, that's a thing. And now I see Jeff's message. Yeah, it's that's a weird one. I wonder why they do that. What's the upside of that? Or is it maybe it works if you're getting like you've got several hundred viewers and lots of messages. Maybe it's just filters out certain ones to try and make it manageable. I don't know. We don't have that issue of having hundreds and hundreds of viewers. So, but hey, that's okay. Ooh, what do we got here? Jeff Hutchins, Stray Bullet was locked out last week for some of us. Yeah, that was weird. Chris Freemasson. Tavo, g'day, sir. How are things going tomorrow afternoon? I think it's tomorrow morning there, but actually. Steve Sadusky, I'm on vacation this week, just working on the house, and it's harder than working on cars. Yeah, get back to work for a holiday, mate. Back to work for a holiday. That's what usually happens to me. Barracuda, the weather has been horrible in New Zealand. Cold polar blasts, one after the other, but the forecasters are saying we'll be getting warm tropical winds shortly. Really? Chavo, still tomorrow morning. Yeah, I thought it was, Chris, but early afternoon in New Zealand, right. Old timer, they say it's at the limit of what a storm can do. I'll bet it is. That's insane. 246 mile an hour. Yeah, if you've ever stuck your hand out the window when you're doing 90 mile an hour, that's That's some energy right there. But 246, wow. Wow, I feel sorry for him. That would be rough. So what else is happening at the workshop? I've been chipping away at the Alpine a little bit, just trying to get rid of the all the front chassis rails and the floor out of it, so we can start looking at this Miata option. Although I keep measuring it, and I'm pretty concerned it's not going to fit on the Miata chassis. But I have a plan B, so but all will be revealed. What do we got here? Chris Freemus is starting to get cold here, already starting to winterize our cars. Wow. Okay. It's definitely gotten cold here the last couple of weeks. I've got the heater on in the shop. Just a little, it's just kicking on, a couple of times a day just to take the edge off. But it's definitely cooled way down. Charles Dalton can't even fathom 246. For wins, no. I mean, the truth is, none of us really can. You'd have to. Well, you wouldn't want to, but yeah, I think you'd have to experience it to really understand it. But yeah, hopefully, none of us ever do. Chavo, cold sunny day here, Antarctic winds and sunshine. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Tabo Kiwi, you can make it fit. Yeah, well, no, I'm not giving up on it yet. Old timer Kiwi dropped that Alpine on a 4x4 Ranger frame. I'd like something a little less trucky than that for a sports car. But I'll figure it out. We'll get them lined up. I need to get the little, the Miata into the shop and get them side by side. Because each time I go out across the yard, I'll look at it and measure something and then check it out on the way back, and it's like, just not sure. The proximity of the firewall to the front axle line is the biggest hiccup that I'm seeing right now. Unfortunately, you've got to keep the Miata firewall, because it's really, believe it or not, it's quite integral to the structure. The chassis rails sit quite high, and they run into the firewall, and then there's a lot of internal sort of framing around the transmission tunnel and behind the firewall in the cab area that you just can't move without cutting so much that it's kind of no longer a Miata frame. So unless I can think of a way around that, which I haven't as yet, I'm not quite sure. Jeff Hutchins, how can anything stand up to 246 mile an hour winds? I really don't think it could. No, that's amazing. I didn't think typically hurricanes ever broke. I didn't know that they could break 200 mile an hour. But yeah. Josh Homan, hey, welcome along, man. Old timer, the meteorologists I seen called the eye wall of the hurricane, quote, a 10-mile wide air for tornado. Wow. Grinder, porta power, welder makes anything fit. Yeah. Well, I can't argue with that, really. I mean, you're right. We'll see. It's surprising for both, considering both are two small sports cars, both two-seaters, front engine, rear drive. There's a lot of, there's 40 years between them, but there's an awful lot of similarities, and yet they're quite different, surprisingly different. I mean, one's a little wider and a little longer, but where the way stuff is laid out in and around the wheelbase is really quite different. I was surprised. What have we got here? Jeff Hutchins, I'm sitting outside smoking my pipe. Tobacco. Well, that's good to know. It is getting a bit nipply here in the west side of Oregon, but it is sunny. Oh, there you go. Very nice. Old timer calling for some sort of snow here in New Hampshire next week. Wow. Beagle Bob, is the Alpine similar to the MG cars? Similar. Yes, similar. The MG is what is the MG? Probably a little bigger, I want to say. Maybe just a little bit bigger, but not much. Similar in ways to the Alpine in that the MG was based off a sedan floor pan, which is the same as the Alpine in that they turned it into a sports car. But the MG has a little bit longer nose than the Alpine. The Alpine's a little short in the nose compared to some sports cars. It's not that long front, short back setup that a lot of sports cars are. But I think a lot of that is due to it being, on a car, conventional car or sedan floor pan. Barracuda, we'd had very strong winds in New Zealand, a lot of damage. My brother lives in Dunedin. He said he's never experienced wind like they got last week. Wow. Wasn't so bad where I am, though. Wow. Huh. Well, my sister will be happy she's here and not in New Zealand at the moment, then. She's missing it all. She's been gone. She's been over this, that they were on a cruise, 16-day cruise, which was very nice. And then they've been kind of with me for a couple of weeks, and they're here for another week, and then they're off again. So, yeah. Jeff Hutchins, we had 40-mile-an-hour winds here this weekend. Took some tree limbs down, but nothing by comparison. No, but it makes you think, doesn't it? Like 40-mile-an-hour winds are actually pretty strong. So, yeah, you multiply that by a factor of, what's that? A lot. Selzen 163. Selzen 163. What do you call chili this time of year is out on your island? Where are you from, buddy? We're barely chilly here. Steve Sadusky, I have to install a bathroom vent. My question is, if I put a holly carburetor on it, will it work? Or should I put a quadrigy? Mate, that's really the best place for a holly EFI system, I think, is in your bathroom vent. That would be my advice. Don't tell Holly I said that, though. Oh, Timer, how does your sister like the wild, wild west called America? They're actually really enjoying it. They're really enjoying it. They've had a good time. They've met some great people from what they've been telling me, and they found it much different to what they kind of see on the news. The news is so misleading these days. A lot of what they see over in New Zealand is kind of the bad stories coming out of America. Someone got shot. There was a drive-by shooting. There was something, and tends to be all the bad news. And it kind of scares people a little bit, But there was me over here, telling it it's fine, come over, it's just. It's like most countries in the world, in that there's places you don't want to go in America and you should avoid if you possibly can. And, there's places that are absolutely fantastic, and it's the same in New Zealand, and it's the same in Australia, and, every other country I've been to, it's been like that. The locals will say, don't go to this part of town, and you don't, and you're fine. Yeah. Jeff Hutchins, we've had snow down to 4,000 feet, but the Willamette Valley is mostly around 700 feet in between the Coast Range and Cascades. Oh, well, that's not too bad then. Charles Dalton, could you build a custom chassis and mount the Miata suspension to it? I realise that's not a cakewalk, but, that has crossed my mind. I'll be honest with you, particularly with the rear. I really do want an independent rear suspension for it, so we don't have to worry about the short drive shaft that live rear axle sports cars have an issue with, because you put the V8 and 5-speed in it and you end up with a pretty short drive shaft, and that brings issues of its own. I'd really like to have that Miata independent rear. So certainly going to look at doing that if the whole floor pan won't go in. And the front, possibly, I don't know. I know you can buy a complete tubular cross member, replacement cross member for the Miata. So look, it's possible that, I've got to look at the Miata and see if we can, I couldn't even tell you if it's a removable cross member on the Miata. I honestly haven't looked that close. So if it is a removable cross member, then that would make life a lot easier to take that out and put it into a homemade, shall we say, for want of a better term, chassis for it. Jeff Hutchins, you need a throttle body on the bathroom vents. You can use the injectors to burn off the methane. There you go. Old timer, that's what I was hoping to hear. There you go. So yeah, Charles, short answer to your question, yes, I think you could, and that's a definite, that's really plan B. Yeah. Now, Selzen, I'm here from Canada. Okay, figured the Pacific Islands would be warmer. Oh, definitely, but yeah, it's warming up down there because they're heading into summer. We're heading into winter. But yeah, compared to Canada, it's probably pretty toasty down here. And then down further south of the equator, it'll be it's kind of warming up down there. So yeah. Barracuda, it was snowing in parts of the South Island yesterday. It's supposed to be spring. There you go. Yeah, global warming and all that. Yeah, global warming, and everyone's complaining about it being cold. Tavo, sounds like an idea. Charles Dalton, basically make subframes out of the Miata. Yeah. If I can't use the floor pan, then that's certainly what I'm going to look at doing, because it's quite a nice modern front suspension, or front and rear. And if I can, keep the geometry as it should be, which would certainly make it easier if it's on a subframe of some kind. Or like a separate cross member, then I think that'll be quite doable. Now, what do we got? I think that might be Mrs. K. So hang on a minute, guys. I'll be right back. Someone's beeping at me on my phone. Oh, yeah, that was Mrs. K. She's listening in and being cheeky. She's yes. She asked, how close are we to paint on the Miata, on the Alpine? Sorry, and it's like, well, close is a relative thing, isn't it? Yeah. Close? No, not close to any paint removal. Yeah. Chris Freeman, what kind of host are you, not taking your guests to see a few shootings? You only have to drive over to Murfreesboro. Well, ain't that the truth? Yes, Murfreesboro is a little that's a little wild, wild west. Yep, can't disagree there. Beagle Bob, have you ever been to a rodeo? No, I have not actually been to a rodeo. We did went to an ice hockey game, Nashville Predators on Saturday night. That was an awesome game. That was a great game. Went into overtime and then penalty shootout. So, or not but a shootout. No, they don't call it penalty shootout. It's a soccer term, football term. Yeah, I wouldn't mind going to a rodeo, at least once anyway. I'm not really the cowboy type, and me and horses don't get along that well. But I mean, yeah, it looks like it would be fun seeing some 1,600-pound bull beat the crap out of a cowboy. It's like, what's not entertaining about that? Now, David Tyree doesn't bloody feel like spring. No. No, it's definitely, well, probably, no, apparently in New Zealand, I don't think it does, no. Jeff Hutchins, my gun shop is close to the old big HP plant. 25 years ago, the big wigs would bring their foreign guests to the indoor shooting range. The Asians were especially culture shocked to see that we could. Wow, interesting. Huh. I never thought of doing that. That's an interesting suggestion, Jeff. Like, yeah, I'm sure that my sister and husband have not fired a gun. So, interesting. Interesting. I wonder. Stephen Bunkybird. Well, it's good to see you here, mate. Yeah, thanks for dropping in. Tavo, closer than you were 2 years ago. Thank you, Tavo. Appreciate that. I'm sure that will put her mind at ease. Thank you very much. Yes. Jeff Hutchins, just one and shoot guns downtown. Really shocked to see we could actually carry loaded guns in public. Heard John Wayne a lot in broken English. They took lots of pictures. Oh, Lord. John Wayne. I mean, I got to be honest. I mean, I get that from those Japanese visitors, the Asians, I should say. Asians were culture shocked because, the first time, like coming here to the States, the first time seeing, we were getting lunch somewhere in a little restaurant, and there was some, I think they were like detectives or something. They were police, but not uniformed. And they had guns on their hips, and it was like, wow, that was pretty shocking. I got to tell you, coming from a country that absolutely you cannot carry a gun around the place. It is a culture shock for sure. So I get it. I understand what they were, why they were taking lots of photos and that kind of stuff. Beagle Bob, closer to a finished car than to the dinosaurs. Well, yes, that's fair. David Torrey, we have rodeos in New Zealand. Yeah, I just never went to one in New Zealand. I was just too busy racing cars and building hot rods and doing stuff like that. That sort of thing wasn't high on my radar, Beagle Bob, rodeo is a good time to watch anyways. I'm sure it would be. And yeah, I mean, it should definitely go one of these days. David Torrey, put a can of paint next to the Alpine and tell her it's real close. Yes, she's a little, and she's not quite that easily fooled, I'd have to tell you guys. Yes. What does she like to say? I was born at night, but not last night. Phil Dodge Fury, welcome along. How you doing, man? Chris Freemasson, on the flip side, I went to Germany in the 1990s and was surprised to see a policeman in Berlin standing on watch with a machine gun. Oh, wow. Jeff E6er. Hi all, another Aussie dropping in a little late. Mate, hey, better late than never, buddy. Thanks for coming in. Tavo, kid's mother has been to a few rodeos just recently, but she has been working on a Northern Territories cattle station all year. Oh, wow. Wow, that's a tough life, I would imagine. That's pretty rough country out there, the Northern Territories. Well, rough, it's rough the right, we're fairly remote, I guess. Not that I know that much about that area, but yeah. That's the picture I've got in my head anyway. So we've got a few Aussies and a few Kiwis in the house today, so that's cool. We don't seem to have we got any Englishmen or any Europeans here tonight? If so, show yourselves. Stand up and be counted. Jeff Hutchins, shouldn't be hard to find a responsible gun owner to take you shooting in Tennessee. No, guarantee they'd be lining up to help. Good old boys love taking newbies out to safely shoot. Yeah, they probably do too, don't you? because I mean, I'd be, and when I've been here quite a long time, but I'd still be considered a newbie when it comes to guns. That's just, when you get to, how old was I when I came here? I mean, when you get to like 45ish and you've never really done anything with guns or had them around, then it's a little hard to adopt, the full-on American gun culture. Barracuda, goodness me. My father was very wary of Japanese people with guns and swords in World War II. Well, that was probably pretty smart on his part, I would say. That would have been a good plan back then. Tavo, 6-hour return drive for her to go anywhere that has anything. Wow. Cooks for between 10 and 30 people a day, depending on how many are out chasing cows. Wow. Yeah. It kind of sounds a little bit like some of the stuff you see on TV. It's, it would be I don't know. I guess, I mean, for the city dwellers, it would seem like a very tough life. But I guess if that's your thing, then it's probably just another day's work, I guess. I mean, she wouldn't be up there doing it, I wouldn't think, if she hated it. So, yeah, interesting. Beagle Bob, I think there is one from Canada. That's basically Europe, right? No. Well, not quite. No. David Tyree, my dad was a policeman and they made him carry a firearm one day. So he put a 38 in his pocket. Oh, wow. Yeah, the police aren't typically armed in New Zealand. Andy Nicol, welcome along, sir. Good to have you here. Jeff Hutchins, very kind of you to welcome the Aussies on here. Well, yes, that's right. Yes. Jeff R, did Dr. Art have to perform serious magic on that 64 F100, or was the wiring in the O2 sensor the main mischief? What's the answer to that one? There was just a bunch of little things adding up. The vacuum advance was messing with the idle. So you just couldn't get it to idle properly. So once we deleted that, things got a lot better. The O2 sensor made it better. The wiring, like the fan, was kind of, that was really only affecting it when you turned it off. The electric fan acting as a generator. There was a couple of things that weren't entered correctly in the initial setup. The cam, we changed the cam setting. Like you have I think it's 3 or 4 different cam options you can choose, and we went for it was set up on a street strip cam, and it was really more of a mild cam, and changing it to a mild cam helped that idle and off throttle area. Wide open throttle didn't really make a difference, because at wide open throttle, it needs what it needs. But that transitioning through, off idle, light throttle, the way it was trying to feed the engine, with thinking it had a bigger cam than it really did, was messing with it a little. And some of it was just experimenting, seeing what it liked. But it really wasn't too bad. Just a little bit of backwards and forwards, bit of road testing, try something different, bit of road testing, messing around. But it wasn't horrible. It wasn't horrible. So. Beagle Bob, I mean the same monarch on their money. Well, that's true, yeah. But New Zealand has the same monarch on its money as well, and Australia. So I get what you're saying. They were all, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada were all English colonies. So no, you're quite right. Tavo, she just signed up for another stint next year, so must be okay with it. Yeah, she does miss the kids, back for a couple of months over the wet season. Okay. Good for her. Good for her. Beagle Bob, did you say that truck had a Crown Vic front end? No, I suggested to him that would be a good upgrade for it. That's what I'd be doing if it was my truck, because it didn't steer well. It just didn't steer well. When we got it going good, and the thing was jumping, you were very quickly, as it was accelerating pretty quickly, you were getting, it was like, woo, this is good, and oh, this is a bit scary. Like it transitioned from yeehaw to oh shit fairly quickly. So it's not, that's not what you want. When you've got a 400 horsepower light truck. So and he's thinking about doing that. He's just going away to, he spent a lot of money getting it to where it is now, because a couple of people, for the bad work that was done on it, he had to pay for all of that bad work, and then he had to pay to get it straightened out. So the truck's cost him a bit more than it really should have. But what do you do? That exhaust that was hanging down, 5 inches off the ground and another 5 inches below the chassis rails, like he paid for that, and then we took it all off and he paid for it again. But you can't fix someone else's work for free because he's already paid for it. Like that's a good way to go broke. So he's regrouping financially. He's got a truck that he can drive, and it's quite okay to drive. It's not like it's undrivable. I make it probably sound worse than it really is. But I'm very much about the cars I have. I like them to drive as nice as I can possibly get it, because you tend to not use them if they're not nice to drive. But he's having fun with it. It's a vast improvement from what it was when he brought it to me. So he'll be driving it for a while, and then hopefully he might come by and we'll throw a Crown Vic in it. Jeff Hutchins, Beagle Bob, many Western Canadians would agree with you about the French Canadian side. Right. There's some there's a little bit of angst there, isn't there, between the French Canadians and the what would you call the non-French Canadian side? The English Canadian? I don't know. What are they? I'm not sure what they call them. Jeff Hutchins, do they change the money when they get a new Monarch? I believe they're in the process of it. It's like a gradual thing. As the money kind of wears out, they don't just pull it all in and make new stuff and spit it out, because it's just too damn expensive. So as the money's aging and wearing out, which it does, they will, all the new money getting made will have the new Monarch on it. Tavo, anything less than 4-inch steering wheel free play with a ball and nut box means something wrong. Yeah, well, there's some truth to that. Yes. Tavo, yes, we now have Charlie the Third on new coins. And there you go. Mrs. Kiwi's not very happy about that. She's not a fan of Charlie for the way he treated Princess Di. But, that's a long royalist story, which, we'll leave that one there. Chris Freemasson, did you get the window problem with your Audi sorted out? Actually, no. My sister's driving it, so we haven't had an opportunity to get it back to the shop, but the window seems to have stopped doing that. So I don't know, maybe it was just one of those glitchy computerized things. I don't know. But it's under warranty, so we're going to, as soon as my sister's heading back south to NZ, we'll get the Audi in the shop, and we'll get it back like under warranty, and say and see them, get them, even if there's nothing apparent, it's not a bad idea under warranty to make it known to them, so that like if you're 6 months out of warranty, you can kind of, if it's an existing problem, they've really got to honour it. So I'm not going to let it kind of just, oh, it's fixed itself, because I'm sure it hasn't. Cars typically don't, when I say typically, I mean never fix themselves. The problem might ease for a while or go away for a while, especially electronics, but they're going to come back. They always come back. David Tyree, as they replace money, the new monarch appears on it facing the opposite direction. Okay, I didn't know that. Didn't know that. Tavo, proper Canadians. Oh, Chris Freeman is a Tavo. Oh my. Oh, heck, you're an American now. It's an NZ. Yes. Yeah, not where I'm from. It's NZ. The boy's out of New Zealand, but you can't take the New Zealand out of the boy, or something like that, they say, isn't it? Barracuda, it amazes me how many people complain about sloppy steering on old cars when nobody has thought to adjust the steering box or replace worn-out steering suspension components. Yeah, a lot of truth to that, Barracuda, and there's an element of steering boxes always have a bit more slack than a rack and pinion, which is why you don't see many steering boxes anymore. Pretty much steering boxes are the territory of trucks. Man, I'm not actually sure why that is, but yeah, most trucks still have steering boxes, or a lot of trucks still have steering boxes, especially the more heavy-duty ones. But rack and pinions is the way to go. It eliminates a lot of that slop. But yeah, Barracuda, you're right. For the most part, yeah. Jim Kay, good evening, Kiwi. Have you ever worked on a Jensen Interceptor? If so, what do you think of them? Mate, I have not worked on a Jensen Interceptor. I like them as a car. I like the look. I've never driven one. I've never even been a passenger in one. But they got the 440 Chrysler big block in them. So it wasn't a particularly high output one from all accounts. But yeah, they were they're good looking car and pretty competent from all accounts. But and there's a company over in Europe somewhere redoing them and putting all much more modern suspension and steering in them. And I believe they're putting that 6.2 Gen 3 Hemi and stuff in them instead of the 440, and making a very nice car out of them, apparently. Jeff Hutchins, serious movement for the western side of Canada to split off from what I've seen in the news. Personally, I can't blame them. Washington and Oregon's east side hate being joined to the west side. Yeah, it's I don't know how that'll go. It's all a bit divisive, isn't it? I don't see a lot good coming from any of that. Handsbar, but when it's too tight on the worm drive, I was worried about doing more damage. Well, the thing too is that if you adjust them too tight, the steering won't self-center anymore, and it wants to, you turn to the left or to the right, and it wants to just stay there. When you let go of the steering wheel, it doesn't want to come back. So you can only go so tight with them. That's why even brand new, they'll have more slack than a rack and pinion does. Charles Dalton, Barracuda, amen. Easy to adjust and many times fixes it. Absolutely, yeah, it does. It does. Jeff Hutchins, customers. Well, they're paying the bills, mate, I guess, but yeah. Hurry up with them and get them gone and come back. How about that? Car old Discover. 2026. Yeah, I hate it when my money wears out before the end of the month. Is that wearing out or running out? Not quite sure about that one, but Paul Funk, YouTubers, your New Zealand family went to Cody, Wyoming to shoot vintage guns in an indoor range, and they did really well. The instructors was awesome with the 2 kids. Okay, very cool. Huh, the kids were shooting. Wow. Tavo, like when the West Island split from New Zealand's North and South. I don't remember that in history classes. Chris Freemesser, very divisive. I seem to recall hearing a movement in California to split the state into 5 separate states. Good Lord, really? It seems a bit over the top. I've certainly heard of a lot of people wanting to split California off from the rest of the states and let them do their own thing. Not sure why that kind of attitude is. Certainly over this side of the states, that a lot of people that I've run into anyway aren't very plussed with California, and I'm just like, I don't really get why. Me and the missus think we really like California. If the houses were a bit cheaper, we'd probably be there. Tavo, steering box adjustments have to be done in the correct order. So many just tighten the screw in the middle. Yeah, there's a little bit more to it than that, isn't there? Chris Freemason, separating the wheat from the chaff. Oh dear. It's no wonder the Australians and the Kiwis kind of give each other a stick all the time. Andy Nicol, a friend of mine inherited a Jensen. It was a piece of crap, mostly because it needed a lot of repairs more than he wanted to put into it. He sold it. There you go. Well, yeah, I mean, that's it's a Jensen is Jensen's a small company in England or the UK, and the English cars are not renowned for being reliable. Like apparently even McLaren's, he says, wearing his McLaren t-shirt, McLaren's have a bit of a reputation as far as supercars go of being quite unreliable. It's an English thing. Like some of the cars they build, the Range Rovers, Land Rover Discoveries and stuff like that, unreliable cars. It's a bit of an English thing. And Jensen's just right there, but like the Jensen Interceptor, that was a lot of different parts from different manufacturers that were put together to make one car, and all the components didn't always talk to each other like the same language. It's part of, they were kind of a manufactured hot rod in a way. Like what we do is we put this and that from there and here and make a car out of it, and sometimes that can be troublesome. Hands apart, calm down, people. Fair comment. Tavo, they should give California back to Mexico. They'll sort it out. David Tyree, San Andreas will do that. You've been watching too many movies, mate. Chris Freemasson, California by itself is the world's 4th largest economy. They could easily survive without the rest of us. Really? I didn't know that. 4th largest economy. Wow. Huh. Did not know that. Ezra 5595. How do I figure out which mechanical fuel pump I need for my 85 302HO? Mate, if the engine's stock or close to stock, like not wild, just a stock pump should be more than adequate for it. You can get high volume and high pressure aftermarket pumps, and most of the time you just don't need them unless you're making like 400 plus horsepower. A stock pump is more than enough. You don't need like massive pumps. Especially if it's carbureted, which 85 302HO I would assume is carbureted. You don't need a massive amount of pressure. You only end up, backing them off, through a fuel pressure regulator or something like that, because the carburetors won't take much more than 6 pound. Just a bone stock fuel pump is 9 times out of the 10 will do the trick. Barracuda, on my Valiants with steering boxes, I've got the steering and suspension so nice and tight, the slightest movement on the steering wheel corresponds with the wheels and still centers normally. Well done. That's quite an achievement, I got to tell you. The Valiants weren't really, any more known for being precise on the steering any more than a Falcon or an old Holden. So yeah, that's a pretty good result. Josh Homan, because California is far to the left of the country at large. Yes, well, yes. Oh, Josh Homan, I feel more mercy for Mexico than that. I love California. I think it's great. I really do. Like, there's just a lot going on there. There's lots of things to do. I every time we visited, we're like, wow, we like this place. So, takes all sorts. Beagle Bob, as much crap as I talk about California, after seeing a few of the cities having all of those people stuffed together, almost justifies removing so many freedoms from them. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, overcrowding's a problem. Car old Discover. 413 without the wedge intake may or may not be a wedge. At one time, it was in a step van and would pull the front tyres off the ground. Wow. Is it worth anything to anybody? What are your thoughts? Oh, I'm sure it's worth something to somebody. I'm sure it's worth something to someone. The 413, that's it's essentially is that a RB block, raised block? So it's like it's pretty much a 440 engine, isn't it? Jim K, Kiwi, is there a model of car that you've wanted to build but haven't yet? It's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know. I haven't really thought of that one. I haven't really thought of that one. Yeah, well, I mean, the one that I haven't, well, I guess thinking about it, 59 Plymouth wagon comes to mind that I'd like to build, but I haven't yet. And of course, the second one on the list, or first one, depending who's watching, would be a Sunbeam Alpine. So yeah, I'd like to build both of those, but I haven't yet. So yeah, there's your answer: 59 Plymouth and a Sunbeam Alpine. And there's a lot of others as well, but that's never going to happen. Any of those old Mopars, some 67 Plymouth GTX is a favourite of mine. I've never built one of them, but I've done other Mopars as well, which is pretty similar. But probably something that I've just not played with really at all, which I would find interesting, would be like an old Mercedes or an old BMW, something like that. Just something that's completely different to what I'm familiar with. Just to for something completely different, or as different as a car can be, because they all have their similarities. Then beyond that would be a mahogany boat. Right? That would be something I'd like to build that I haven't. But of course, it's not a car. But yeah. I just thought I'd share that with you. I have a I have a little daydream at times. I go on YouTube and look at some of these old mahogany boats that on a number of channels, and I just think it would be kind of fun to try and build one. When retired, semi-retired, really, like way too much time on my hands, and just to like every move what kind of appeals is every move I'd make, everything that you touch and go to do is all new. You've not done it before. So yeah, that would make it a challenge. Granddad's Junk. Hey, welcome along, man. Good to have you here. Tavo, talk to DDG about that 413. That's a good idea, Tavo. Yeah. He's eats, lives and sleeps Mopar, doesn't he? So yeah, he'd probably want it, or at least know someone who does. Chris Freemesser, yeah, starting to get chilly around here, hitting the freezing mark at night. Wow, that is getting cold up there, isn't it? Wow, no, we're getting down to the 50s. Well, that's fairly long way from freezing. Ezra, it's kind of built. The number off the top of the pump on it, it's kind of built. Number off the top of the pump, okay. It's chrome coloured, not sure of the brand or size. I searched the number and it comes up with Cummins pump, but not similar. Oh, mate. Well, all you could do really is I don't know. For the cost of a pump, I'd be tempted to just put that to one's. Well, I don't know. You've got it. It's there. Why not try it and see? But pumps aren't expensive. I just put a pump on my old Falcon the other day, and it was like $60 for a stock one. And that's the one with the little like half-size oil filter fuel filter on it, which I think are great, because it's like it's like quite a bit smaller than an oil filter, but it's a lot bigger than your typical fuel filter, and you can change the elements. I think those are great, and that'll fit basically any Windsor, and that's like off a 60, 65, 66 Mustang. 289, and that'll fit your 302. Has a nice big fuel filter on it, and built into the pump, so you don't have to have an inline filter. And that'll pump. That's the pump they use with a, the 270 horse hypo, Shelby engine in the Mustangs. So. That pump would keep up with that Shelby version of the 289, so that'll keep up with most 302s. But yeah, kind of built is what sort of horsepower do you think it's going to put out, Ezra? Hansabar, good question. Barracuda, it's really just from not using worn parts and having the steering box adjusted. Yeah. Oh, well, that's true, Tava. Yeah, that's a good point. That's another one. Yeah. I've worked on XB Falcons. I never built one. But I would like an XB coupe, really, would be the one I'd have. Probably XB, then an X, maybe then XA and XC in kind of that order. Any one of those three are pretty reasonably similar cars. But that XB, I do like the XB. Chris Freemesser, does the inherent design of a steering box cause it to wear out faster than a rack and pinion? Good question. Probably does wear out faster, than a rack and pinion. It probably does. But that's really, I'm not 100% sure. I know you chase them a little bit on keeping the slack out of them, which is what we've been talking about, which doesn't seem to happen with the rack and pinion so much. So if you happen to adjust them, I guess they're wearing out a little quicker. Hands a bar. A boat can be a car. Here you go. It's got a car engine in it, doesn't it? So yeah, I've got the engine kind of fairly well covered. What have we got? Granddad Shark, it's warming up here. Been planting trees today. Just came inside for a drink and a break. Well, there you go. Good timing, brother. Good timing. Car I'll discover. I've heard 413 compared to 440. Yeah, I think they're fairly similar engines, but probably just actually demonstrates my in-depth, my lack of in-depth knowledge with the Mopars. David Tyree's Belize is the place for mahogany. Yes. I have to go and live in Belize. You're thinking and build my boat there. Just go out in the backyard and chop a couple of trees down. There you go. That's a plan. Barracuda, the front brakes on the VH Valiant are not so great though. Discs. They stop good enough but warp easily. Huh. What, with a bit too much heat they warp, do they? Ouch, Paul Funk. When I went to Yosemite, I paid between $5 and $6 for gas. Wow. Yeah, yikes is right. Old car discover. The reason why I ask has been setting my now deceased older friend's workshop table for years. I believe it's from about 64. Okay. Just helping his widow get rid of his stuff to make life easier for her. 64. Okay, so that's older for sure. Yeah, I think Tarbo's on the money. Dead Dodge Garage, DDG. He has a live stream on Sunday nights, isn't it? I think it's Sunday nights. Hop on there and ask him. I don't know whether he's in your area or not, anywhere, reasonably close. But 64, 413, there's got to be a home for that. I mean, how much it's worth is probably not a lot, but, it'd be good to see it go to some good purpose, Ezra, is there a risk to running less gallons per minute or more gallons per minute or PSI on a built motor? What are the risks? You certainly want, gallons per minute is, is an important part of a pump measurement. PSI, they can develop PSI without pumping a lot of gallons per minute. Often, it's that high, it's the volume as much as important as the PSI. But if you ever pull the fuel line off a running engine and see how much it's blasting out, even a stock pump, they have the potential to pump quite a bit of volume, and your engine, while we watch the fuel needle go down and it seems quite fast, when we're getting after them, the engine does not drink that much fuel, relative to what a pump can deliver. You've got to think about the size of the main jets and stuff like that. It's all got to go through those main jets. So they don't, I honestly think, unless it's really wild, unless you're at 400 or more horsepower, I really do think a stock pump's going to be all you need. I really do. And, people go with high volume pumps and high pressure pumps because it's all, and a lot of it is just a myth, you don't, it's an easy way to sell product. Like people go, oh, more fuel, more power, and more fuel does not equal more power. More fuel and more air equals more power, but not just more fuel. If more fuel, if it was as simple as more fuel equals more power, then people would just take the main jets out and leave them out, and they'd have a whole lot more power. But yeah, it doesn't work like that. Old Car Discover. Well, I normally don't get a chance to watch you on Tuesday, but I got to get back to my normal Tuesday thing, so my money doesn't wear out or run out before the end of the month. There you go. Fair enough, bud. Yeah, money makes the world go round, man. You can't live without it. Where are we up to here? Hands a bar, more pressure. More pressure just means you've got to run a fuel pressure regulator and let it bleed off somewhere, back to the tank. So, Granddad's junk. The buggers are moving up my road. Not that I own it. A great big gate with only me having a key would be perfect. There you go. Andy Nickel, I'd love to rebuild an old BMW, but no time, no money. Well, yeah, I'd like to do one of those. The first of the M3s, which is not that old, but I think it's an '80s car, isn't it? The early M3s. I think those are cool as heck, and that motor was just a little gem of a motor. That I think they were 2.3, 2.4. Twin cam 4-valve screamer. Great little car. Chris Freemess, a razor wire and a guard tower. Do wonders in situations like that. Oh Lord. At least I'm near the end of the road. There's only one person living above me. Yeah. It'd be nice at times to be. I mean, my neighbours are right on me either side. Sometimes it would be nice to be kind of a little bit more out in the wilderness. Must say. Ezra, B303 cam, flat top pistons, Edelbrock RPM heads, Performer 72-1, Crane roller rockers, Lenardi double valve spring, Wells Racing, 7,000 RPM, Performer car. Yeah, that's fairly built, isn't it? Okay. Well, yeah, you might be getting marginal there for a stock pump. You might be getting marginal there. So yeah, there's a plethora of aftermarket pumps for them. Edelbrock make good pumps. There's a few different ones. There's a few different brands. I would go for something that's a little. Pay attention to the GPM, the gallons per minute. Yeah, that's an indicator that it's a better pump rather than just PSI. I would look at gallon, the GPM number, and go with one that's got a good GPM. But you're going to need a fuel return. So just keep that in mind. A fuel pressure regulator with a fuel return line on it. Don't just get a deadheading fuel pressure regulator because they don't work very well. Get one that has a return line and run a return line back to your tank, because that the carburetor will not like all that pressure and volume at low RPMs. At idle and just off idle. So you're going to need a fuel pressure regulator with that bigger pump. Charles Dalton, well put, Kiwi. Thanks. Basically, an engine that takes 15 gulps of air for every gulp of fuel. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Tavo, I would guess Kiwi with a yellow XBGS panel van with a Barra turbo and a ZF 6-speed. Kiwi CNC sign writing on it. Yeah, mate, now you're talking. Now you're talking. I'd definitely go with the Barra turbo. Yeah, just cause. Yeah. I mean, what V8 can you put in a Ford Falcon, van, coupe, whatever, that's not already been done, really? So yeah, I'd probably try and go twin turbos just for shits and giggles. But yeah, the ZF 6-speed and the side, yeah, it'd be awesome. Get some big boost out of it, giant intercooler, and yeah, it'd be awesome. Chris Freemasson, BMW 2002 would be a cool ride. Yeah, they're neat little cars too. Yeah. Very good at BMW. Broke my wallet. Yeah. I don't think the earlier ones were so bad. Certainly like the 2002, the simpler ones. Of course they broke down. They're a car, but I don't think they were particularly worse. The later model BMWs. Bill me weekly. BMW. Yep. The later model ones that are all electronic and lots of whiz-bang stuff on them. Yeah, they get some miles on them. They're going to get expensive. Like, yeah. To be fair to BMW, they're not the only ones like that. They're not the only ones like that. Yeah. Ezra, I would guess it isn't quite 500 horsepower. I just want to be safe and not sorry. Oh yeah, like they don't have to get lean for very long. Like if you're going to pull 7,000 RPM out of it, that needs obviously considerably more fuel than one that you're running to 5,500. If you're going to spin it to 7,000, you need more fuel. And the thing is too, if they lean out at that speed, you're going to hurt them. So as you say, better safe than sorry is a very good, it's a very good mindset to have. But yeah, just do save yourself a lot of heartache. Get a good quality fuel pressure regulator and run a fuel. It must have a return line to the tank. Must have a return line. Trust me on that one. Yeah. Oh, Barracuda, Cosworth DFV V8 and an XP panel van, perhaps. Now, I hadn't thought of that, Barracuda. That's yes, that would be cool. They just sound amazing. That engine is just one of the best sounding engines ever produced. And I defy any Chevy guy, to say that a Cosworth DFV does not sound good. I don't care what Mopar, Chevy, whatever camp you're in. If you can appreciate the sound of any engine, then that Cosworth sounds superb. Charles Dalton, BMW equals big money waster. Yes. Hansabar, wait, what are we waiting and waiting for, brother? What are we waiting and waiting for? Not sure what you're referring to there, man. So let's have a few other. Let's have a few of your guys' thoughts on a car that is like off the wall for you guys that you would still like though. So you Mopar nuts out there like that are on here tonight. Like, what's a car that's not a Mopar, and not a American Ford GM that is like floats your boat, so to speak, like something that you go, oh, that's a bit odd, but it's or odd for you, like what is it, and the Chevy guys, same thing. Is it a Japanese car? Is it a Toyota Sora, or like something like, what's that odd car that kind of just makes you go, that could be cool. Chris Burton, what's your favourite Aussie car? What's my favourite Aussie car? That's a good question. That's a tough one, actually. There's some nice ones. It's like, obviously, I'm a bit of a Ford guy, so the Falcons obviously come into the equation. Yeah. But some of the Holden Monaros, some of the two-door Monaros were like really nice. And the Chargers, the old Valiant Chargers. And then they had like the Chrysler, some of the Chrysler limos. They had a two-door limo, I think they called it, which had the 360 LA engine in it. They're pretty rare and they're pretty cool. That's a tough ask, actually. But probably if I had to pick one, I would probably go with the XB Falcon GT, just because I'm a Ford guy and I can't help myself. What can I tell you? Barry Cooter, actually, I think the XA Falcon panel van looks better than an XB. Oh, hey, I can't. For me, I can't agree with you on that one, Barry. But that's not that you're wrong, mate. It's just that's what you like, and more power to you. That you think you find it more appealing than an XB. I get it. I find the XB a little more appealing than the XA. So that's all good. Oh, hands about. I just missed the part about the sound of the engine. That's all. Okay. Yeah, we're just talking about how great those Cosworth V8s sounded. And they did. I'm sure there'll be multiple videos on YouTube of what they sounded like if you're bored and want to go listen to one of those, but they sound it's just music. Chris Freemaster, so are we talking about the wholly impractical car that's on one's bucket list? Well, not necessarily impractical, but like just out of your norm, like like Urkost, he's into his Corvairs, so like he loves his Corvairs and stuff like that. So what's something that's completely different from he's all about Corvairs, but what's something off the wall that's not like a Corvair that is also appealing to him. So it doesn't have to be impractical, but just different for the individual, Josh Homan, German engineering doesn't mean what it used to. No, probably not. No, that's no, probably not. It's certainly the rest of the world's been catching up. David Tyree, Duesenberg. Okay, there you go. That certainly falls into that impractical car side of thing, because those are a little thin on the ground. But yeah. Tavo, not in the least bit a Holden fan, but give me an LH34 Tirana, please. There you go. You see, it's like that. That's what I'm asking, Tavo. That's exactly it. David Tyree, Aussie Bolwell Nagari. Now, that's not something I've ever heard of. Is that a car or is that a Nigerian refugee? I'm not sure. Granddad's Junk, HK Monaru, Bathurst 327. There you go. That's a good car. A fast car. That's an awesome car. Charles Dalton, off the wall car for me, Porsche 356 Coupe. I generally prefer American muscle, but there's something about those. That's what I'm asking. That's exactly what I'm asking. That's a good answer, man. Yeah, I mean, that's a long way removed from American muscle, but there's just something about whichever car it is, and in your case, it's the 356. It's something that draws you to it. And it's kind of interesting what that answer is for different people. Hansabar, in the fantasy world, the Mach 5, hands down. Okay, very cool. Very cool. Turbo or a late 50s Imperial. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, those are awesome cars. Anything late 50s Chrysler is pretty cool. Chris Burton, I hope my cousin does something with his uncle's Corvette since he passed. Yeah, hopefully. Barracuda Kiwi, have you seen the 65 Mustang Fastback by Pure Vision in California? He's put a 60s Ford Lotus IndyCar engine in. Oh, wow, that'd be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. That'd pull some RPMs, I'm sure. That'd be cool. But no, to actually answer your question instead of just ramble on, no, I haven't seen it, but I might have to go looking for it. Chris Burton, 71 Stingray. Okay. Small block, big block? What is it? Chris Freemus, I would not kick an Alfa Romeo with a Busso V6 engine out of my bed. Well, there you go. Yeah, that's. I mean, these are cool answers. It's interesting. I find it interesting anyway. Alfa Romeo, yeah. I mean, they made some beautiful Alfa Romeos. They're notoriously unreliable, and you know they're usually a car full of problems. The Alphas, but yeah, they're beautiful cars. The aesthetics of them are hard to beat. Andy Nickel, I used to mess with VW Beetles when I was a kid. Lots of fun and not much you couldn't do with a floor jack and minimal metric tools. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Beetles are. I don't really understand the fascination with VW Beetles. And that's just me. It's not that people who like them are wrong. It's just me. I've just never worked on one. Never had the opportunity. They just haven't crossed my path. And I used to really have quite a strong dislike for them, but they are growing on me a little. Like I've seen a few at the car shows that have been, done in different ways. Like some little bit of ride height change and some nice wheels, and suddenly they're like, actually, that is kind of cool. There's a part of me like is a bit begrudgingly about it because it's like I don't want to like a VW Beetle because for so many decades I've disliked them, but they're actually growing on me a little. David Tyree, it's an Aussie sports car. Okay, I have no idea what it looks like. I'll have to look it up. Barracuda, heard of the Purvis Eureka? I have heard of the Purvis Eureka. It's the one with the lift up, the whole roof lifts up, doesn't it? Guy I knew used to rally one years ago. And that was on a VW floor pan, if I'm not mistaken. And the one he rallied had a V6, had a Ford 3-litre V6 in it. But they're a pretty funky looking car. Granddad's Jake, my wife chose an RX-7 Savannah. Yep, good looking car. And becoming more and more popular. And the early ones, I have a rarity value because there's not that many left that are any good anymore. Chris Burton, my off-the-wall car, Leyland P76. I'm actually an American. It was the Mad Max movies that made me a fan of the stuff they got down under. Yeah. Yep. No, the Leyland P76 was. Yeah, if one came across my path, I would probably have to try and buy one, just because they're so different. Tava, you've been hitting the whiskey or something. But yeah, the Mad Max movies did introduce America to a lot of different looking cars. And the Leyland P76, yeah, that was a neat car. Tavo, no, scrub those two. I really, really want an Austin Princess. Mate, you've been drinking or smoking or something, but no, I do not believe that you want an Austin Princess. I'm not buying it. Jeff Hutchins, freaking customers should have charged them overtime. You should have done, mate. You should have done. Pycross Burton, small block 350, turbo 350 trans. Yeah, great car. I mean, they're a fun two-seater American sports car. A little hard to work on, I have to say. That C3, I think they were a C3, weren't they? A little hard to work on at times, but they're fun to drive. And I love the way you sit, like you sit kind of low and back in those Stingrays. And the front fenders kind of sit up in front of you. You can see the tops of the front fenders, like humping up and over. And I always think that looks cool from inside the cab. Hopefully he'll do something with it. I mean, and it's also easy to, easy for parts. It's not a hard car to restore or even like partially restore, fix up, shall we say. But just, a little bit hard to work on. Pycross Burton. No, sorry, we'll read that one. Tavo Trekker. Good Lord. That's better than Austin Princess. Just marginally. Barely. Maybe not. Granddad's truck. Tavo, that won't pull your pants down as bad as on the late road. Oh, that's an interesting way of explaining it. Yeah. Jeff Hutchins, definitely not a Beetle guy. VW TDIs are interesting. Okay, there you go. Why not? VW's made some cool looking cars, actually. I mean, like Beetle aside, the Beetle in the microbuses or, the campers. But they made some neat sort of sporty cars in the 70s and like hot hatches and stuff like that. VW had some interesting cars. David Tyree, I used to make seats for Austin Princess. Wow, really? Answer, yeah, it's a pure 4-speed experience for Beetle. Ugh. Yeah, it's not a fast experience, that's for sure. Old Car Discover, thanks for looking to Dead Dodge Garage. Yeah, let us know how you got on. All right. Oh, you're out of here, bud. All right. Yeah, we will have a great night. You have one too. Beagle Bob, I like the looks of a 39 Studebaker pickup. Yeah, they're the ones that had 39. Some of those early Studebaker pickups, like all 4 fenders were the same, weren't they? They used like the front fenders on the rear step side. I'm not sure whether that was the 39s. It might have been some of the 40s or 50s. I'm not 100% sure. But Studebaker were kind of out there like that. On some of their cars, some of the Studebakers, they use on their sedans, they use and wagons too. They use the right front door as the left rear door, and the left front door as the right rear door. They just switch them diagonally to save money and tooling and stuff, which was not a bad idea. It made for a slightly interesting look on the car, but yeah, it helped them keep them cheap, Barracuda, the customer is always right. Yeah, they're always the customer, but they're not always right. But yeah, I hear what you're saying, but Pycross Burton, I've always wanted an HJ Holden. Oh yeah, I always thought the EH was a cool looking Holden, and I thought it would have looked awesome. The EH Holden would have looked awesome as in a 2-door format. Now, what have we got here? Tavo, Mazda Road Pacer. Yeah, you're testing me there, Tavo. Is that the Holden that the Road Pacer? Isn't that the Holden that went to Japan and had a rotary engine put into it? I think it was like a Yeah, 70s Holden that they took over there and put a rotary Mazda, like a 13V rotary Mazda engine in a big ass Holden. Is that the trick of that statement? Biggle Bob, those are the ones. Looks like it, anyways. Yeah, they're a neat looking old truck. Yeah. Paul Funk, my off the wall car would be a Toyota 2JZ powered AMC Gremlin. There you go. See, I'd like a Pacer because I think it's the ugliest AMC they ever made. And that's why I want one, like Wayne's World and all that stuff. Like, I just think they're cool. But really, my off the wall car goes more European. Charles Dalton's stepping out. Well, good to have you here, mate. Thanks for coming, and we will see you next week. David Tyree, I had an HJ Holden Belmont 4.2 when I was 19, extra Ministry of Transport. Good solid car, mate. Good solid car. Turbo, yes, HJ, yeah, Premier with a rotary holding it back. I mean, only the Japanese would have thought of that. Like that engine, like the rotaries are like a very clever engine. They're pretty neat. Like I know a lot of people rag on them, but they make a lot of horsepower. They don't make any torque. They're not very torquey engines. And that great big Premier with all the bling and luxury and weight that it had, the rotary was just the worst choice they could have come up with. It was just a dumb idea. Chris Freeman, a Mexican spec, can you set up with a nice Pacer? No problem, Kiwi. Mate, I'd love to, but I got too many cars now already. I got too many. And it's on the list of cars I'd like, but probably will never own. I'd like to do it. It would be fun. And I'm probably not going to go out of my way trying to find one. But if one crosses my path through work or something like that, then it would be fun to drive. Have for a few months, 6 months or something like that, and then just move it on. But it may never happen. Probably won't happen. But yeah, I just think they're funny. And I remember showing Mrs. K a picture of one, and she just looked at me like I'd lost my mind. And hey, she might be right. What do you know? Tarbo, all Holdens just unlocks either the FE or the HK. They just look nicest to me. Well, there you go. Pycross Burton, but the HJ Holden I want, a Sandman panel van. I think they are the coolest looking things. Yeah. Yep, they are. So many cars. I mean, I know there's guys around with 300 car, 400 car collections, and I think if money didn't matter, and I just had more of it than I knew what to do with, then I'd be one of those guys. I'd have 300 or 400 cars, and I wouldn't know which one I liked the best. Be easy to do. Probably them all be in various states of disrepair and half restored and going to get to it, but that's not in my future at this point of the game, because money is an object, and staying married is something I'd like to do. 300 cars is probably going to impact that life choice, I would say, but so where are we up to? Jeff Hutchins, Barracuda, the customer is really right. If they knew what they were doing, they wouldn't need me. Well, there is that. That's true. Good point. Luckily, most customers aren't jerks. The ones that are cause problems way out of proportion. Yeah, unfortunately, you're always going to get some of them. But Jim Kay, Kiwi, if I may ask, what is the average shop rate there? I know classic repair is higher. Actually, it's not. Average, I don't know. really, the new car dealerships are all over 200 an hour, 225-ish at any new car dealership. I'm not sure on the mainstream, like the private mechanical shops. I don't know. As far as my shop rate, it's $150 an hour, and that's probably a little on the high side. I think I think there's other guys around that work on older cars that are probably a little bit cheaper than me, and that's okay. Like, people keep bringing me cars, so and it's that old thing about really what you're paying for is the last 50 years or 40 years of experience, and not just the one the hour that I work on it. It's it was like that black Imperial that came in with all the slack in the steering. Like, he was blown away that I diagnosed it as soon as I sat in it. Like, I knew what the problem was, or I believed I knew what the problem was, and I was right, because I had seen it before. And the shop that tried to fix it before didn't get it right, and even if they were $50 an hour cheaper than me, it didn't really matter because they didn't get it fixed. So but I mean, 150 is not really deemed that high, as far as I know, anyway. Barracuda, I think the coolest panel I ever saw was a black HQ Holden lowered 8-inch Trident mags all around with BFGs, and the back of it was loaded up with teenage girls. Yeah, well, that certainly amped up the cool factor, didn't it? David Tyree, you can't have too many cars. Well, I have to say you're correct there, David, but I also have to say my wife would not necessarily agree with you. It's it's a sickness, it's an illness. I could easily own a lot more cars than I do. But I mean, in fairness, I'm not saying the wife stops me buying them. She doesn't always approve, but she doesn't stop me. But I have to stop myself, otherwise I would literally have more cars than I had places to put them, and that it becomes a problem, and I don't want it to be a problem. Jeff Hutchins, anyone seen Volfly? No, he hasn't been in tonight. He owes me a cooked sausage. There you go. I think he owes lots of people a cooked sausage. Hansabar, if I could rescue a Datsun 210, I think I would. Yeah. I'd go with the 110. I love the little old Datsun 1200 coupes. I had one of those as a rally car years back, and it was pretty cool. And if I could come across one of those again, that would be pretty cool. But they're scarce, man, and expensive. Chris Freemesser probably working late fixing all the Fords. It could well be. Like Chris Burton, if I could find an Opel Manta, I'd slap a Buick V6 in it. There you go. Opel Manta's a pretty cool looking thing. David Tyree, how about a 911 with a Beetle body on it? Okay, so like a sleeper Beetle. Yeah, that could be fun, couldn't it? I saw a video on one a while back, a Beetle that looked, it was what do they call it, the Super Bug, a little bit later model one, and that had a Subaru WRX engine in the back of it, but like mid-mounted, so the engine was still in front of the rear axle, and like modded up to hell, and super rapid. I think it was, it was like 400 horse easy type thing, and in a Beetle body, and it was a little rocket ship. Chris Freemesser, more fun to stick a Porsche engine in a Beetle. Yeah, kind of sick. Well, yeah, I mean the Porsche's got better suspension than a Beetle, That's the thing with doing it. You're doing it the other way, David's way. At least that way you'd get the handling. Jeff Hutchins, 150 an hour, 4 hours and fixed is way better than $90 for 10 hours and half-assed. That's the math on it, brother. That's the math. Barfly is here. Look at that. Slings a disc of summer sausage. Jeff Hutchins. Hansabar, 150 is not high. No, I don't think it's high. I agree. It's not high. But, once it's a small shop, there's not a huge overhead. I haven't got, some of these fancy waiting rooms like your new car dealerships have, and, tea and coffee and biscuits and all that every day. And, it's what should we say? My shop is a little rustic, my shop. So, yeah, the overheads are low. So, at 150 an hour, I can make a pretty decent living, honestly. Firefly pork chops tonight. No comment. Oh, there you go. Hansabar, no comment. Firefly, no chicken noodle soup for a rainy night. There you go. Nothing wrong with that. Jeff Hutchins' wives, they can be replaced. It's just expensive. Oh, my goodness. Yes. Yes, an old guy I knew years ago told me a joke, and hopefully Mrs. K is not listening, but it's probably late enough now. She's crashed. But he said, to save yourself a whole lot of time, he said, find yourself a woman that you hate and buy her a house. It's a lot quicker and cleaner than getting married. A little cynical, maybe, but I could see the thought process in it. Yeah. Jeff R., I think one's hourly rate can be based upon knowledge and experience. Yeah, that's fair. David Torres, not an illness, it's a cure. Hansabar, I can neither confirm nor deny that I have too many cars. There you go. Yeah. Yes. Yes, that's a very, it's highly, very much open to interpretation, that, isn't it? Like, what is too many cars? Like, what is that number? Very much open to interpretation. Tavo, Datsun 1200 utes are popping up all over the place here. Yeah, I mean, I love the little 1200 coupe. I think they're great little cars. But yeah, I'd definitely grab one of those if it came my way. Barracuda, I heard that Paul Newman had a Beetle with a hot Ford V8. That's an interesting combination. Wonder what he had for a driveline. Surely he wouldn't have been in the back. It'd just be too much of a death trap. Cross Freemason, he did have a Beetle. There's a well-known picture of him sitting next to it. There you go. With the Ford V8 in it. Really? Hansabar, right on. Yeah, cool. He also had a Volvo wagon with a hot Ford V8 in it. He was a bit of a Ford guy, obviously, wasn't he? Yeah, Hutchins. Oh, I like when people buy a new luxury car and get free pedicures. Seriously? I've never heard of that. Free pedicures while getting their car service. Free my ass. Yeah. No, there's nothing free. No free lunches, mate. But a free pedicure? Oh. No, I don't want people messing around with my feet. No. No, thanks. Robert Meyer. Meyer? 150 is not high. I'm a plumber, and what I charge is high. Oh, really? Okay. What can I ask what that is? And you can speak in general terms if you like. Doesn't have to be your rate, but plumbers in your area. Beagle Bob, car limit is probably available parking spots -1. That makes a lot of sense. Got to save room in case you find a dream car. That's forward planning. That's forward thinking. See, that's pretty smart. Yeah, yeah, that'd gut you, wouldn't it, if you had to like pass on that dream car because there was nowhere you just didn't have that one last spot. Now, that would hurt. That would hurt. Well, that's interesting. What you guys like and don't like. It's all good. So yeah, I think I would like an early Mercedes coupe, like a 60s Mercedes coupe of some sort, even maybe a 50s, with a late model Mercedes V8 in it, like an AMG late model V8 in it. I think that would be, the right, nice, low-ish stance and the right wheels. I think that'd be cool. Andy Nickel, my shop rate for guitar repair is 80 an hour, but I don't have the overhead of a mechanic. Yeah, it's relative. I mean, yeah, that $80 an hour is probably pretty much yours, isn't it? Where do you work from, Ed? Do you just like work out of your home shop, home garage? Volfly, looks like some of the Halloween stuff I made for my kid when she was 5 is getting recycled. Made 3 sets of digital eyes on LED displays that look randomly around, lifelike. Found tutorial online. Really? Well, aren't you a good dad? Good for you, buddy. Jeff Hutchins. That's an interesting theory. If you know how many cars you have, can name them all off the top of your head, and they're all at one location, you don't have enough. Let's see. I'd have to think about how many I have. I think I can name them off the top of my head. And are they at one location? No. No, they are not. So that's... it would appear I possibly have enough. Volfly, no one sells them. Okay. So you made them. Good for you, man. Robert Meyer, I charge flat rate and it's usually 2 or 3 times what yours is. Wow, really? Whew. Wow. Remind me not to block up my toilet. I'd want. I mean, if I was digging around in some stranger's toilet, I'd want 2 or 3 times what I'm charging. Yeah, I can see that. That's not something I'd want to do. Firefly, perhaps I was a toy maker in my previous life. Yeah, it might have been a chef, maybe. Very good. For that money, you usually get the bonus of the traditional plumber's crack. You usually do, or you should do. Not that really anybody wants to see a plumber's crack, but yeah. Chef Hutchins. Firefly is an elf, breaking news. Commercial, residential plumbing. Yeah, well, that's 2 very different things, isn't it? Jim Kay, the first hot rodded Mercedes had a 6.2 mechanical fuel-injected V8 put in it. 109 chassis, 300 SEL, the first car that AMG modded. Really? That's interesting. Mechanical fuel-injected V8, 109. So a Mercedes 10, what's the 109? Oh, 300 SEL. What's the 109 chassis? Was that what a 300 SEL is? So that would have been a 300 AMG or 300 SEL AMG. Yeah, factory hot rod. But that's worth some money now. Steve-O's good. Someone say bourbon? They did. Yeah, it's going to last. This glass will last me for this live. What have we got left? 11 minutes. Jeff Hutchins, I don't even want to dig around in my own toilet. I'm with you there, bud. Robert Meyer, licenses and insurance is a killer. Yeah, I'll bet it is. I'll bet it is. Yep. Yeah, someone's got to pay for that, don't they? Yeah, and I mean, the reality is it's not you. Like, you can't pay for that out of, that's got to be above and, on top of your hourly rate, or, or included in it. But I mean, that's not part of what you earn for an hour, because a chunk of that hourly rate heads off to licenses and insurance. This is why my own plumber and mechanic and electrician. Yes, and own therapist. And your own therapist. You get out there in the garage and you do your therapy. With a MIG welder or grinder or whatever. That's all therapy. See, you're your own therapist as well. Andy Nichols, small commercial bay, but most guitar repair techs work out of music stores. Okay, I used to own a guitar store, but I couldn't make a go of it and sold it. The guy who has it now is doing well. I mean, it's tricky. There's a lot of guys, and that's me as well. I have to be honest, in that we're better working at what we're good at, which is guitars or cars or whatever it may be. But the business side of things is like, I had no education in that side of things, and certainly made some mistakes over the year, and didn't really understand the business that I was running, and that knowledge was harder to gain for me than the knowledge of cars, and that's why some guys have got hot rod shops with 20 guys working for them, and I do not, and that's not luck. That's because those guys, and it could be argued that some of those guys are better businessmen than they are hot rod builders, but they're businessmen and they've got good hot rod builders working for them. So yeah, there's different ways of looking at it, So yeah, the fact that the guy's doing it now is doing well is probably more down to him being a good businessman and better at a business than he is at guitars. But and we can't all be good at everything, man. I'll tell you. Robert Meyer, I wear suspenders and crackers extra. Oh goodness, I can only imagine how much you charge to offer that service. Jeff R, you'd be a brave man to undertake a late model AMG driveline swap into a classic old model. I couldn't agree more, and I'm probably not brave enough, but that's what I'd like to do. And there's a difference between wanting to do something and actually getting it done. I mean, I think if you were in Europe, if you were based in Europe, there's a lot of that sort of stuff going on over there, because that's their bread and butter. That those Mercedes V8s and Audi V8s, that's their LS and Coyote. They don't have the information in the aftermarket for LS and Coyote stuff that we have here, but they do have a lot of those engines. I suspect that I wouldn't want to undertake that AMG swap here in the States. I think you'd struggle to find someone who could actually help you get it done or get it done. But if you were based in Europe, it would be a different, I suspect, I don't know, but I suspect it would be a different deal, because there's a lot of hot rodding of these late model AMG type, RS Audi type stuff going on. Hang on. Hang on, guys. What was that? Barry Cooter, I'm with you, Tavo. I learned how to do things as it's required. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the magic of YouTube these days. If you don't know how, you can get on YouTube, and if you're the type of person that can pick it up from watching, you can figure it out. I've fixed dryers and microwaves, and I've done all sorts of around the house stuff thanks to YouTube. And I just usually have to watch 2 or 3 videos, and I find the guy that explains it the way that it makes sense to me. And it's like, okay, I get it. I can do that. You get the parts and you fix it. Yeah. Tavo, same here. I fix it myself, even if it was a bad idea. It can be a bad idea sometimes, but hey. Jim K, 109 is the chassis designation. All 109 came with a factory air suspension. Nice. Steve-O's good. It's cooler now, so bourbon and coffee time. There you go. Not a terrible idea at all. Chris Freemesser, same here, Tavo. I DIY everything I feel comfortable doing. That's where we're lucky. I think guys our age group kind of grew up watching our dads DIY it, a lot of the time, and we found it interesting. So we watched and we learned. It's a different world today. My boy, he knows where to put petrol in the car, gas. He kind of knows you need to check the oil every now and again, and that's about it for cars. But, he's halfway to being a doctor, so he's going to be worth a lot more than me one day. So who's right and who's wrong, Very good at the internet is a big help these days. It's very, very true. Jeff Hutchins, I thought this 2 hours was therapy. It is, mate. It is. You're absolutely right. It is. Phil, Dodge Fury, I'm still here. Oh, good. Just at work. Okay. Josh Homan, you can think of it that way. Josh Homan. What are you not sure what you're referring to there, Josh? Pop's Mustang Shop. This Sunday, November 2nd, will be the 38th Clay County Car Show at Lineville, Alabama. Over 800 cool cars on site, all supporting the Shriners and helping kids. Very cool. Well, if anybody's in the area, you need to go and have a look at that. I'm going to be out and about tearing around the country with my sister for her last weekend in the States. So I won't be getting there, I'm afraid. Barry Cooter, I won't do brain surgery, though. I wouldn't feel confident to do a good job. Well, it's important that you know your limitations, man. Josh Homan, even actual brain surgeons shouldn't do it on themselves. Well, that's very true. Jeff Hutchins. To do brain surgery, you should at least have one yourself. Well, yes, that's probably part of the criteria, I'm sure. Valfly. There are days I feel like performing brain surgery with a pipe wrench. Yes, I can. Yeah, I get that. I can understand that. Yep, there's definitely days like that. There you go, Andy Nickel. Started with too small of an investment to carry the inventory needed, and Rod had more money and a good head for business. He's also a good tech. Yeah, well, I mean, look, you got out before you got thrown out. It's, at least you were smart enough to read the writing on the wall and sold it and followed your strength, mate. You have to play to your strength. That's it. And we're just not all strong in all areas, and I'm not. So don't take that the wrong way, Andy. If I was better at business, I'd have a lot bigger and flasher shop right now. But at the same time, I'm happy doing the way I'm doing it. So it's not all bad, I don't necessarily want to have the worry of 20 guys working for me and where's the next car coming from, and all the masses of paperwork and administration and stuff like that you do when you're just running, even 10 guys. That's not me. That's not what I want to do. I'm a hands-on guy. So, could I have made more money? Yeah. Would I have had more fun? No. So I'm good with it. I'm good with it. Firefly on the bad customers that try to micromanage my work. Yeah, I don't get too many of those. I'm fairly lucky. But yeah, I have had the ones that kind of second guess everything you do. Um, um, and yeah, Bill Bob, I've managed to stay awake for this whole live. Well, I mean, okay. Do you normally snooze off during my lives? Do you? Should I have my feelings hurt about that? Or are you just an early, an early bedtime guy? I'm trying not to be had my feelings hurt by that comment, Beagle, but I'm sure that's not how you meant it, really. Where'd that go? I lost you. Here we go. David Tyree. My dad used to fix anything, and it just doesn't occur to me that I can't. That's an interesting way of looking at it. I like that. Yeah. Yeah, my old man was the same. He would fix most things, and he would try and fix anything. He didn't always nail it, but most of the time he did. And yeah, I hadn't thought of it like that. It doesn't. Yeah, I have something come into the shop, and or something go wrong around the house, and it doesn't really occur to me that I can't fix it. But I hadn't thought about it in those terms. It's interesting. I hear what you're saying. No, it's just like, let's just get it done. We'll figure it out. I'll usually dive into pretty much anything just with the blind faith that I'll be able to figure it out, or I'll be able to ask the right person that can point me in the right direction. Huh. Interesting. That's a neat way of looking at it. Tavo, I can even build a timber house frame to 70s code anyway. I used to spend school holidays working with a family friend carpenter. Yeah, and all those things you learn, don't you? And that stuff stays with you. Josh Homan, you can think of these 2 hours as therapy. Well, yeah. I hope you guys find it that way. That'd be kind of cool if you do. There we go. Jeff Hutchins helped my dad build 2 houses. I didn't want to, but learned some things anyway. Luckily, he's still around, so if I get stuck, I ask him. Still hate construction, though. Actually hate repairs more. Okay. Firefly. Some days brain is not braining. Yeah, I feel that pain. Yeah. What do we got here? Josh Homan. Timber houses are pretty timeless. I don't think the codes changed for them too much. Mate, I don't know. I wouldn't know. Firefly, my brain. I think I'll keep it. Yeah, I'm with you, bud. Josh Homan, I'm not sure new houses are pretty disposable. Yeah, some of the new construction it's definitely down to a price and not up to a quality. Tavo. My mind can still build a frame correctly. My body would say otherwise. Yeah, there's a bit of an imbalance coming in there. There was, the mind could do this, the body, the body could do that, and it's kind of having a little role reversal now. The brain still thinks it can, and the body's going, hang on a minute. In the immortal words of the great Clint Eastwood, a man's got to know his limitations. Yep. Well, that's true. He does. But yeah, if you don't think you can do something, then you're right. But if you think you might be able to give it a crack, then you could well be right. New time, Biggle Bob, new time zones is 10 o'clock for me. Okay. Oh, it's 9:04. We've gone over. Look at that. It was just that tonight's live stream has been just so stimulating. I didn't even realize the time. Beagle Bob didn't. Yeah, well, no, we missed you last week, mate. Chris Freemaster, speaking of time, US daylight saving ends this coming weekend. So plan accordingly for next week's chat. Yes, it will be at the same time, but technically a different time. Clint also said if you're going to hang a man, make sure he's dead. Well, yeah. Handsbar, that's true. I told a group of students that there's almost nothing that can't be repaired, can't be fixed. One student understood, the others were dumbfounded. Yeah. Jeff Hutchins, Barracuda, my favourite. Dying ain't much of a living. Well, no. Josh Homer, it's because they grew up in an age where everything is disposable. Yeah, exactly. I mean, how many TV repair vans do you see anymore? Remember that? Remember TV repair vans that would drive around the streets? And, yeah, I remember having several, quite a few visits from TV repairman when I was a kid. Like the TV had this, a valve would go out and something would go wrong with it. I really don't know what it was, but yeah, you just don't see a TV repair van anymore. If TV repair shop where you take them into. I mean, if your TV just stops one day, where would you take it? You don't, do you? Tavo, 3 hours stream. We've already gone over the 2. Yes. And I really, Jeff Hutchins, I'm in. Well, sorry guys, I'm not. I got to get up early tomorrow, get to work, get some stuff done, and it is 9:06. So yeah, Tavo. Yep. Now they cost more to fix than to buy. This is very true. Yeah, I'm going to have to cut out, guys. But hey, thanks. It was a very rapid happening, interesting live tonight. So thanks for all you guys' input. As I say, thanks for joining in, and I guess I will see you next week. Daylight savings adjusted time, but it will still be 7 p.m. Central. So yeah, I'll see you then. In the meantime, get to work on your cars. It's cooling off now, no excuses. So and then come back and tell me about it all next week. All right, guys. Well, you have a good one, and I will see you next week. Take it easy, guys.